Hello.
Hello, hello,
Okay.
hello, everybody. It's Sree Sreenivasan at Sree on Twitter, at SreeNet on Instagram. Delighted to be with all of you today. This is the Sree Daily COVID-19 call. Goodness, can't believe it's only day 4. It feels like day 54. And you can see on the screen, I have with me 2 of my dear friends. Neil Parekh, say hi.
Hi, everyone.
He's down in DC, suburban DC. And Dr. Lipi Roy in New York City.
Hi, everyone. Namaste.
Yeah, namaste. We're all doing that. Hey, all 3 of us can do that by instinct here. Thanks for joining us. I'm going to ask Lipi and Neil to go onto my Facebook and hit share right now so that your friends and family can join us. And Neil, we are not using my usual technology. We're using StreamYard. This is what we use for the New York Times read-along that we do every Sunday, but this is the first time I'm flying solo with lots of tutorial help from you. Tell me why this is such an interesting tool and platform.
Sure. So I'd be happy to do that. The only thing I would correct, Sree, is that it is your technology. The read-along is Sree Sunday New York Times read-along. I am honored to be the executive producer and guest host, but it is your show, and it's one of the platforms that's under your name. You usually use Uber Conference for these kinds of calls, these kind of quick, let's just gather people together and talk. But we're trying StreamYard for this call. One of the reasons I'll say is that first, we're going to be using StreamYard for Social Media Weekend on Saturday. So it's good to show people what that experience is like.
Say hi.
Hi, everyone. So, Lipi, maybe your make sure the volume is down.
Yeah, she just muted that. That's fine. Nope. You have my son running in the background.
Running in the background.
Fun. He just made, by the way, this is what the advantage of no school. He made 23-hour sous vide lamb shank. So that was quite a production.
Wow.
And delicious. With no insult to any of the vegetarians or vegans watching.
Sure.
He loves cooking, and he just discovered sous vide, which I knew nothing about. And how was it, Krishna?
I think it was really good.
Yeah, he says it was good. It was delicious. I loved it. So thanks, Krishna. Back to you, Neil.
The other advantages for using this platform that I think are, one, we can stream it to more than one platform at the same time. So we're actually live on both Facebook and Twitter using Periscope. So that'll be the first time we've used Periscope. We'll see whether what kind of engagement we get there. You can see that we're highlighting Doug Levy's comment on the bottom of the screen. Thanks for doing this. And we have a ticker across the bottom advertising Sree's daily COVID-19 calls. The graphics, the overlays, those are some of the neat features that we can use with StreamYard. Sree's showing his phone. I guess that's the Twitter.
Yeah, so we're right now live on Twitter. We have 50 people watching there, 56 on Facebook.
Sure.
And that's amazing, right? That's the connections. The idea of these calls is to bring people together. So we'll mix it up. We'll sometimes just do phone because some people just want to chat and hear each other's voices. But Neil, thank you so much. What's coming up Saturday, Social Media Weekend? People can buy their tickets right now if they go to smwknd.com, which is the Social Media Weekend website. It's also pinned to the top of my Twitter feed, a one-day conference, which Neil is going to help put together live on StreamYard so that people can watch from anywhere in the world.
So the other thing to remember, the other reason we like using StreamYard is that we can highlight comments on the screen as they come in. So as people are posting comments, we can see them on the right-hand side of the screen, Sree, and you can go from Doug Levy's comment to someone else's comment to show people what they're saying.
Oh yeah, there are many comments here. I didn't even see them. So this is what I'm learning.
That's my subtle way of pointing that out to you.
Doug says sous vide is fabulous, and I said questions welcome. Look at this. Doug says add lamb shank. It is perfect, 48 to 72 hours. Krishna, did you do lamb shank or?
Yeah.
Oh, so we did lamb shank. So we said 48 to 72 hours is perfect. He said, I don't have that kind of patience. And Steve Taylor said, I just tuned in and heard sous vide lamb shanks. And Hope says, greetings from Jasper, Alabama. Thank you so much for watching from everywhere. And we have questions already for Dr. Roy. So Neil, let's say goodbye.
Absolutely.
Please check out Social Media Weekend. It's pinned right to the top of my Twitter page, and we'd love to have you join us and participate in Social Media Weekend this weekend, Saturday, March 21. And thanks, Neil. Say bye.
As a good flight instructor, I'm going to leave you with the controls, Sree, but I am sitting right next to you. So if you do need me, feel free to let me know.
Right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
And maybe you'll come back towards the end because we may have some StreamYard questions for you. I know we do. Diane.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. All right. Our guest for today is a returning champion. This is Dr. Lipi Roy, who has been with us already. She was the first person I thought of when we went to this Hunker Down stage, and I wanted to have these calls. And so she graciously came in that first day and now is back again. And I'm so grateful. She's fresh off 3 straight days of doing NBC, MSNBC. And here she is, Dr. Lipi Roy. Hi.
Hi, Sree. How are you? When was that first time that we did this? How long ago was that?
It was 3 shows ago, so I think it was Friday night.
Friday. And I'm sorry, what's today? Monday. I mean, I don't know about you. I'm losing track of time. It's crazy.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
And earlier you said that this is day 4, right? Of this show. And
yes.
Yet you said it, but it feels like day 54. I'm sure everyone agrees. Like so much has literally changed in the last 4 days, right?
Yep. And so we want to hear what has changed, but just tell us about MSNBC and NBC. What have you been doing there? What's it been like? And are you practicing social distancing if you're going into an office like that?
Yeah, so all really good questions. Let me unpack that one at a time. So as everyone knows, first of all, before we even start, I want, if everyone who's watching, joining with me, wherever you are, just collectively take a deep breath with me. And then out. And then I'm going to encourage all of you to do some deep breathing every single day, even if you could just do 5 minutes, because right now, more than any other time, we just need to be in the present moment, which is a kind of a scary place, but we need to take care of ourselves first and foremost, or else everything else just goes crashing down. So mindful practice, take care of yourselves. That said, the CDC recommendations, the WHO recommendations still stay the same. If anything, I think they've really just escalated. You know, before it was a bit more casual in terms of, oh, keep a distance, try not to touch stuff. But now they've really hunkered down in terms of this social distancing, at least 6 feet. Do not only do they say keep the distance, but now they're saying it's like hashtag stay home. Mm-hmm. So you already know this, Sree, but in New York City, restaurants, bars closed. I think there's only like delivery services. So the different business sectors are all being affected locally, statewide, and nationally. So, and we can go and explain into that why that is. But social distancing is going to be, hi Rupa, social distancing from a medical and public health standpoint is critical.
Yeah, thank you. And Rupa is here just grabbing dinner. She and my son made dinner in the middle of all of this while we're doing. Rupa, do you want to just say hi? And also, do you have any medical questions? You can think on it. If you have anything, you can ask.
Miss you, Rupa.
Here's Tara also wants to say hi. Our dog. Yeah.
Well, a lot of it is about Tara. We're obsessed about making sure to wipe her down, and I don't want to wipe her down with Lysol, but all these people want to come and say hello to her. So, thoughts on that?
Yeah. Do these particles stick on fur? Do you know?
Yeah, no. So many people have been asking about pets. So I think right now, I think there was maybe one case like of a dog in the U.S. I'm not really sure. As you know, I'm not a big animal expert, but we do know that. Excuse me. They're not really a risk factor for transmission. Sorry, hold on.
Wow, Bob Migliani says two of his favorite people, Sree and Lipi. Wow, I didn't know that. Namaste, Bob.
Hey, Bob.
The doc is just not actually coughing. She's just the water went the wrong direction. We don't want a panic from our doctor live on TV.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Do you remember the president was having troubles breathing as he was, the other day in the Oval Office address? Like that's really scary when someone who's supposed to make us calm looks unwell, but not in your case. Not in your case.
it's not very, it doesn't really inspire confidence, does it? But just to reassure people, if that was off, got a little irritation, I've got water, I'm all good, nothing infectious.
Your signal's breaking up a little bit. I'm not sure if it's on your side or ours.
May very well be on my side, but
yeah.
I can hear and see you for now.
Okay, good. So let's get to it. Do you have other thoughts on what you've been sharing? And then we have some very specific questions for you.
Yeah, so in the last on Friday I got invited to speak on MSNBC, and Sree, you helped facilitate that. I'm really grateful for connecting me to certain people there. But I guess I didn't screw up too badly on Saturday, because then they had me back on Sunday and then again this morning. And really, to me, it's a reflection of people's concerns and about what to do and how to time you. I'm also having similar concerns and questions, but my guidance and advice to everyone is really following what the other professionals, which is social distance, stay at home, wash your hands with soap and water 20 seconds. And if you don't have access to that, use hand sanitizer that contains 60 to 90% alcohol. And really now, in terms of escalation of recommendations, avoid going to the emergency department unless it really is an emergency. I understand many of you may not really know what a true medical emergency is, but if you have knee pain, elbow pain, a minor headache, please don't go to the ER. A lot of hospitals and clinics are now really incorporating telemedicine, telehealth. They've got people answering phones. So really utilize the technology and these other alternatives that are available.
Oh, thank you. That's great advice. All right, let's go to a question that's come from one of our favorite people, Doug Levy, who has worked for years with first responders, doctors, people in the healthcare business. And he says, I'm at San Francisco. Is flying a good way to stay safe from this? If so, where to? He's at the airport, apparently.
Oh no! Have you guys been seeing the images at like O'Hare Airport and all these other airports where, I mean, talk about the opposite of social distancing, right? These are people crammed in lines, waiting for their flights, changing flight. I mean, it's a nightmare, to be honest. So my recommendation, based on, again, what the public health officials are saying, is if you don't have to travel, stay where you are. I will share with you personally, and I know this has happened to you, Sree.
Sorry? Yeah.
I've had multiple, and sorry, flat out. Okay, I want to see my Leafs play hockey on Saturday night. That got canceled. And you know what? That's okay, because my personal enjoyment has to take a back seat to public health and safety. So Doug, stay right where you are. Don't board a plane if you don't have to.
Okay, so Doug, you heard that. The doctor is saying don't go anywhere, and that's important. He says his flight in was very empty. No crowds, he says. Is that a good excuse?
Yeah, but you can't anticipate, right? You don't know in advance how many people are going to be there, right? So my advice really, if you don't have to go, please, for at least 14 days, 2 weeks, hunker down. And by the way, that recommendation may change. It'll all depend on what things look like. I mean, things are changing so rapidly. It's not even week to week. It's like day by day and sometimes hour by hour in terms of the new data and the recommendations that are coming out. And a lot of that, what we're doing here is really being influenced by what's happening in other parts of the world. And it should always be that way, right? Because we live in a world with other people. And bacteria, viruses, they don't carry passports. They don't care about travel restrictions. They will go wherever the hell they want to go. So it's up to us to be very mindful and practice the evidence-based precautionary measures.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. A reminder, folks, that we're on Facebook. If you're on Facebook or on Twitter, please hit share right now. People around the world can join us and ask questions of Dr. Roy. And you can just give a chance for you to just share your thoughts. I'll read them out loud on Twitter and as well as Facebook. So please do that. I need to mute my own phone here. And Also want to tell folks that tonight I'm working with Hong Kong University's medical school to do a global conversation with Dr. Gerald Leung, who is one of the great experts on the virus and all the problems happening in the world. So we're going to be talking at 8:30 Eastern, so about 3 hours from now. So I'm going from one doctor to another. And one of the things that I'll ask Dr. Roy is, do you feel a sense that people understand the danger here? A lot of people feel like they're young, they're healthy. They hear from the president that it's like the flu, for example. Talk about that a little bit, please.
Yeah, those are really insightful questions and concerns. This morning I was talking to Chris Jansing on MSNBC, and I really want to make clear that there are clear distinctions between the novel coronavirus or COVID-19 and influenza. It's interesting. We have about 3,000 or so cases in the United States, and it's growing, and people should be concerned. But remember, in the flu season right now, we've had 32 million cases, and deaths in the U.S. is at about 60, 70, something like that. But the flu has killed already 22,000 people in the United States. And yet here's the advantage that we have about the flu that we don't have with coronavirus. For the flu, we have prevention. We have a flu vaccine. We have rapid diagnostic testing and treatment. We have antiviral medications such as Tamiflu, oseltamivir, or Relenza, which is zanamivir. We don't have any of those measures for this novel corona. Well, we have testing, but it's suboptimal, and so we're obviously ramping that up. But we really don't have any of those measures in place. What we do know for coronavirus, COVID-19, is that the one couple of things that definitely work right now is the preventive measure of social distancing. It sounds simple. Some people might think, what's the big deal? It's a big deal because it's all we have right now. Social distancing and constantly washing your hands, keeping yourself as sanitary as possible, wiping down surfaces with disinfectant. Go to the CDC website to look at how to, bleach with water. I think it's like 5% bleach, but there's a lot of really strong recommendations and instructions on the CDC website. So you're not alone. In fact, we all have to work collectively here, or else we're not going to be able to combat this. And I really am optimistic that we can all pull together and work on this together, so we don't go the direction of, unfortunately, the people in Italy.
Yeah, and it was really sad to see what's happened in Italy, in Spain, where they're shutting down the whole country, basically.
Yes.
What has been the biggest sign for you that the government is taking this seriously, or the different governments, the state level, city level, federal? Which to you are the markers? Is it the restaurants closing? Is it what the guidance around 50 people? What do you say?
Yeah, that's a nice observation in terms of intervention. So let's start locally. I will say, so you and I live in New York right now. We're in Manhattan. I will say I'm really inspired by what I'm seeing by both the Mayor de Blasio, and Governor Cuomo. You know what they're really doing that I like, especially as a doctor and a public health advocate and a media person, is they're communicating. They're constantly communicating to the public. Even if the answer is at the press conference is, I don't know, but we're working on it. Even that inspires confidence. It really does, rather than just being aloof, just not talking to the media. That's not leadership. To me, leadership is somebody who inspires, somebody who reassures, and somebody who unites. And somebody whose recommendations and advice are rooted in science. And my sense is that at least locally in New York City, New York State, they're doing that. But also, when I turn on the media, turn on the news, I'm hearing from the Seattle mayor. I'm hearing from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts. I'm hearing from leaders, public health officials in various states, various governors. I'm very reassured that everyone's acting now. Leadership is acting. Now, on the federal level, I mean, I think everyone's been seeing Dr. Anthony Fauci's face. I gotta tell you, he's a 79-year-old man who's literally spending 19 hours a day on this. So I really hope he's taking care of himself, because we need him. But so he's with the NIH. And the CDC, I'm listening to them. These are my colleagues at a federal level who've devoted their careers to this, and so I'm going to listen to their advice. And then our chief. Initially, my sense was that the administration wasn't taking this as seriously, but my sense now, especially if you heard his words most recently today, the tone has changed. He seems to be taking this seriously and really listening to the people around him, his advisors. So that's my sense now.
Great. Thank you. Here's a question that's come in. Diane says, people talk about planes, but what about Greyhound and New Jersey Transit bus? If I don't have to travel the bus, I won't, obviously, but many have to travel to New York City but she may have to travel to New York City to check on her elderly parents.
Yeah, so that's a great question, Diane, and I hope you're well. Hi, Diane. Well, it's funny. One of my friends just texted me. He's going from New York to Maryland to be with his family. And I asked him, I said, I imagine the train's totally empty. He's like, no, there's a few people, but for the most part, really empty. Think about it. On a Monday in New York City, the Amtrak train is basically 95% empty. Yeah, I'm actually okay with that. I'm okay with people, again, travel only if you have to, and visiting older relatives, I think, is a legit reason. But travel only if you have to, and even then, when you do, try to sit far apart. Try to maintain that 6 feet distance. If you're able to do that while carrying hand sanitizer, all those good things, then I think it's okay. By the way, the mayor and the health officials, they're not saying don't ever travel or leave your apartment. They're still saying go out, get groceries, go to the gym. It's actually okay, but just maintain that distance.
I'm sorry, I had to eat. I'm on intermittent fasting, which I may have mentioned to you, Doc. And so I have that window of time where I can eat. And so I'm trying to eat so I can start my fasting again. I don't know how good fasting is in the middle of all of this, but I think having our routine is important. And all of us who are able to keep our routines, I think, benefit from that. Here's a Manoj Polari says, a kind of a dilemma, need some supplies, went to the grocery store, and it's Black Friday madness and the opposite of social distancing. In such places, would you suggest wearing a mask and gloves? This is a big question.
Yeah.
Because one of our friends wrote to us from China that he's horrified how no one in America seems to be wearing masks. Here, the guidance is wash your hands, don't wear masks.
Yeah.
In China, it's the opposite. Can you break that down for us?
Yeah. So first of all, yeah, no, we still need to get groceries. We still need to. I agree with you, Sree. We should try to maintain a sense of regularity and normalcy as much as possible. I know some people are thinking that's crazy. That's impossible. I can't go to work. I can't do this. But it's now is a really important time to let's be adaptable. Let's try to find other ways to connect, just like you are, Sree. You're connecting using technology with so many people. Let's use our phones to FaceTime and Skype and talk to people. There's many other ways to maintain connection. And by the way, regarding what you're doing with eating, I've been eating apple slices and peanut butter right now because it occurred to me, bad doctor. 5:38, and all I had today was a tangerine and apple slices. It's just been such a chaotic.
You're doing your own fasting, intermittent fasting, without knowing it.
Unintentional intermittent fasting. But I got to practice my own advice, because here I am. I'm really trying to preach to everybody to maintain self-care. Now is such an important time to do that. Self-care is important all the time, but particularly now because we're all let's be honest, we're kind of freaking out, and I get it. So now that you're at home, you know, instead of thinking of all the negatives, oh, I can't go to work, oh, I can't go to the movies. Now think about all the things that you can do. You can catch up on your sleep. You can do some meditation. You can read your favorite book or magazine, do a puzzle, write. There's so many things we can do. And watch TV, catch up on Netflix. And don't just watch 24/7 news. It's not healthy. And cook and bake. Do
except when you're on. Right? When you're on, they should be watching.
Yeah, but like, yeah, cook and bake, right? Just like Krishna's Sree's son did. So there's a lot of things that we can do, and all of those things are just so therapeutic. Cooking, baking, reading, listening to music, so meditating, reading, all of these things. So, did I answer his question? Oh yeah, he was asking about grocery stores. So again, I would recommend trying to go to these places when it's like off peak, like really early in the morning or maybe later at night. I understand that's not always possible. Regarding the masks and gloves, so actually the recommendation is to not wear a mask unless you are exhibiting symptoms. So if you're a healthy adult, healthy person, do not wear a mask. You can take a sanitizer with you. I really wouldn't wear gloves. Hospital latex gloves. The hospitals need those gloves, so don't stock up and buy latex gloves, please. Just try not to touch surfaces or minimize it, and carry sanitizer with you. Those are the recommendations I'd make.
All right, thank you. And Laura from Philadelphia says, a leader, someone who inspires, reassures, and unites. Yes, yes, and yes. That's what you said about the good leaders amongst us. And then she was very kind, and she said, you and I are fulfilling a leadership role right now. Thank goodness. Thank you very much. Doug says that he did not visit his parents this weekend because he was coming back from Seattle and didn't want to take any chances. Deepak's watching from Livingston, New Jersey. So we've got New Jersey well represented. And Diane says, thank you for your advice, Dr. Roy. Doug says here in San Francisco, the gyms are closed and we're all being told to shelter in place. And Sam says he's doing shelter in wine place. And that is one way to do this. One of our friends said that she knew she was going to be okay because she found one of those old cans of mango pulp that many Indian families own, at least one, because they never know when they'll have to break it out to make mango lassi or mango juice or something, smoothies. And so she felt she had Netflix, that, and a bottle of wine. She was safe. I don't think it's all the nutrients, but it's definitely some. And Deepak says, is it okay to drink 90 milliliters of single malt before dinner daily?
Funny, in my other hat, I'm an addiction medicine doctor. Anything in moderation right now, I'm going to recommend. So do what you enjoy. I eat chocolate every night, man. No one's going to stop me from doing that. So there you go.
All right, that's great. And Monica says she loves mango lassi, never made it at home. If you get a chance, you can buy a can of mango pulp, basically, that you can find either at a Middle Eastern store, at an Indian store, or online. And then you mix it with milk, almond milk, oat milk, any of those milks, and soy milk or regular milk, and you have a wonderful lassi to drink. So you can enjoy that. Folks, we're right now on StreamYard, which is streaming right to Twitter and to Facebook. It's a new technology for me to use myself. I'm learning how to use this, and it's just great that I'm getting a chance to practice this and learn how to do that. Please follow Dr. Lipi Roy on all platforms. She's on, and her website is lipiroy.com. Is that right?
At lipiroymd.com.
That's right, lipiroymd.com. So definitely follow her. Today's my medical day because after this, at 8:30, in about 3 hours from now, I'm going to be interviewing Dr. Leong, one of the world's great experts on the crisis. And there's a 60 Minutes Australia piece about the crisis that if you haven't seen, make sure you're not nervous when you're watching it because it'll make you more nervous after that. And that's where I want Dr. Roy to just kind of play out how bad this could get, or kind of tell us what is moderate and not so moderate, like, decent scenario, bad scenario, horrible scenario.
Yeah.
Or whatever you're comfortable with.
Yeah, so a couple of things there. First of all, let me just address for Monica, I also love mango lassi. I don't know how to make it, but every time I go to an Indian restaurant, I order it. My mom, by the way, uses fresh mango in a blender and yogurt. You could use milk, and then sometimes as a dessert uses ice cream. Okay, that's the fun part. Yeah, I heard you say, Sree, that the Australia episode, don't watch if it's going to make you nervous. But at the same time, I don't want people to just get nervous. I know that seems so counterintuitive, but getting all nervous and anxious and upset and frustrated and angry is not going to help anybody. We all have to work collectively. And I'm actually very optimistic that once we all get on board with this and work collectively to in terms of implementing these preventive measures, and I can't repeat them enough, social distancing and good hand hygiene, cough, all that etiquette, things will get better. I will say though, I have to wear my realistic hat on, and it's going to get worse before it gets better. And the reason I say that is because we were a little late in terms of taking on measures, preventive measures. We were late in terms of diagnostic testing. There are a lot of things that we could have probably done earlier, but again, I'm not somebody who likes to look back and look at things with regret. I believe in looking at things now and what can we do proactively. And so really just working together, it'll be okay. But the next probably few months, a few weeks at least, are going to challenge us. But have faith that we just keep listening to one another and caring for one another. Somebody mentioned earlier about going to the grocery store. Well, yeah, what I've been trying to do after this, I actually, not now, maybe a bit later, I plan on also running a couple of errands, getting some groceries, stocking up a little bit. But before I do that, I'm going to reach out to a few of my friends. I know people in my building that are older. I'm going to reach out to them and say, hey, do you need anything? I'm going out for a run. What can I get for you? Imagine if all of us did that, or just check in. I've had 4 text messages today, like within an hour, from friends from all over the country saying, hey, just check in, how are you doing? And so just do that. A little thing like that can go a long way. So those are just some things off the top of my head.
They're wonderful. I can't believe they're just top of your head. Really appreciate it. Laura Silverman says, as with San Francisco instituting shelter in place and banning all non-essential everything, including bicycling and walking, contemplating going for a walk in the woods tomorrow with a friend. We will maintain a 6-foot distance until we're told to shelter in place in Philly. I have got to get out. And that's also what we're encountering here in New York. Until they tell us do not leave the house, we're going to try to leave. First of all, we have this dog, and I don't know what we'll do because she will not go on a mat in the house no matter what you do.
Yeah.
So we'll have to go out with her once a day. But just want everyone to stay safe and be careful. Really appreciate it. Steve Taylor says, I love a lassi. Haven't made any in years. So maybe this will give us something all to shoot for, Doc. Let's have a lassi party when we can all do that, and we'll all get together and make lassi together. So
I'm all on board with that.
Yeah, a mango lassi, lippy lassi party, something like that. I like branding everything. Our friend Jenny, who's from Puerto Rico, is now in Colorado, and she says hello. And Neil says, please check on elderly neighbors who might not be able to get out for groceries. Our friend Mark is watching from North Carolina. And Laura says, let's stay in touch in the ways that we can.
Sree, can I just address something that Laura said? Because Laura brought up something and in terms of like, she's highlighting something that's really been a source of frustration for, say, Governor Cuomo and other public health, state leaders, officials at city and state. And that is some frustration from a lack of a unified message from federal leadership. Because so like in San Francisco, they're told not to go outside at all, not to go biking or walking. In New York, that is not the message that we're getting. Mayor de Blasio said, no, it's okay to go grocery shopping and do these things. I mean, we can't really do an actual quarantine. I mean, I guess I don't know. I think that would, I'd have to ask some of my other expert friends about those definitions. What we're doing right now is social distancing and maybe like in self-isolation, but there is a difference between isolation and quarantine. But as a nation, it's very difficult to get quarantine everyone, and I don't think that's necessary. But the point that I'm making is that we're getting mixed messages, and certainly not a unified message nationwide.
By the way, I'm just noticing every time I touch my face, it's a real problem.
I've touched my face. It's just such a natural human thing to do. And I get it, but it's okay. It's okay because we're in the confines of our own home. Whatever else you're touching, Sree and me, my desk, my laptop, my phone, you know, wipe it down and then wash your hands. So after I finish talking to you, I'm going to go wash my hands just to be extra safe.
And can we just go over the washing hands routine a little bit? Because 20 seconds is a long time, and most people think it's just the water. And you told us last time you were here that's not the water, it's the friction, and it's also getting between the hands, like a surgeon or any nurse who is prepping for op. You can see on TV, right? You can go on YouTube and find this.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, and in fact, I would actually encourage people to go to either the CDC or the WHO, like Google CDC or WHO hand washing. I promise you, those videos are probably getting like millions of views, but they're great videos because they really teach you how to wash your hands. And you might think that's such common sense, but this is a very specific need right now from a public health emergency standpoint. Really, we all need to play our part here. So washing hands under running water with soap, and making sure it's the friction of it. You can't just have your hands, just the water kind of, you know, strolling down. You got to actually rub your hands to get that dirt out. And yes, it's actually the fingertips and under the fingernails. This is what surgeons do. OR nurses who are scrubbing into the operating room. They do this on a daily basis. And what they do, if you've ever scrubbed into a surgery, which I have multiple times, they actually wash right down to their elbows, okay, and has the water running down. Then they have somebody else usually dry them if they can't find a sterile towel. And this is all sterile stuff every single time. They have somebody glove and then gown them before every single surgery. So I'm not saying we have to reach that level, but watch those hand washing videos and just get into a routine. That's what we got to do. If you brush your teeth every day, then you do this now every multiple times in a day.
Thank you. Steve says, I've been doing more phone calls and video calls with family and friends. And this is one of the things that we're so used to texting these days. Actually taking the effort to pick up the phone and call somebody, I think, is a wonderful side effect of all of this.
Yeah. And
Doug has a good point. He says, I've not worn contact lenses since this thing started. I think that's very smart. Why take a chance, no matter how, you know, using that contact lens liquid doesn't make it as sterile as everybody thinks it does.
Yeah.
And
but so but to Doug's point, so I wear contacts, and even I'm like, I'm going to be taking them out shortly because my eyes are just getting dry. But for people who do wear contacts, I mean, I think it's still okay. But again, this is really an important time because you got to get under those fingernails, because that's what's going into the solution to reach for the contacts. But hey, if you can get away with just wearing glasses, then by all means do that too.
Okay, thank you. Morgan asks, if someone gets the virus and then recovers, can they get it a second time?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I've been getting that a lot. So the short answer is, again, this is a novel virus, right? We've never really worked with this particular strain of virus before, but based on other data from other viruses from the same family, like SARS, the short answer is that you can get, it doesn't give you immunity. It's not like, you know, if you get chicken pox once, you won't get it again. Not with this virus. It's quite possible that you can get it again. We just don't really know. And so the way to address that, just try not to get it at all. Try to practice preventive measures as much as possible.
Yeah, and I think that really helps. Steve says, I'm lucky to have a great interactive indoor bike setup, though I'm still going outside for solo rides. Most bike clubs and teams have temporarily stopped all group rides. Yeah. And Laura says, I'm not looking to Representative Devin Nunes, who's like one of those terrible people in the U.S. government, but what if I were? Because she's pointing to a story that talks about how he encouraged everybody to go out and go to the bars and clubs when the government was saying no more than 50 people, and every club will obviously have more than 50 people. So that's been kind of interesting.
And Laura, when was that? When was that out? When did he?
This was yesterday. No, he was. Devin Nunes is a terrible person and a terrible congressman, and a pain for everyone. But he's this representative of of a certain kind of people who still believe this is like the flu. It will go away. Don't worry about it. This will, everybody's exaggerating. But one of the things I heard Dr. Fauci say, which I think is very good, it says that he said, if you're doing too much, if you feel like you're doing too much, that means you're doing just enough. If you feel you're doing just enough, you're not doing enough. And that's a great way to think about this and frame this entire conversation.
Well, exactly. I mean, so there's two ways of interpreting that. When you say doing too much, I want to make sure people aren't overexerting and pushing themselves too far, because remember, we want to keep our immune system strong, and we'll talk about more about the immune system. But yeah, if you feel like, oh, this hand washing is just excessive, oh, sanitizing excessive, wiping down every desk and stairwell handle and doorknob, that's like it's like, oh, so OCD. Actually, this is a time to be OCD, really, obsessive compulsive. When it comes to hygiene, remember, like I said at the top of the show, bacteria, pathogenic or disease-causing bacteria, viruses, fungus, don't give a damn about your travel plans, about passports and border restrictions and travel. They don't follow those same rules. And so it's upon us, it's our responsibility to, based on the science that we have, to take care of ourselves and protect ourselves, and thereby protecting the entire community.
All right, we're going to go to quick questions and quick answers, because after we say goodbye to Dr. Roy, we're going to spend a few minutes just talking about this technology for people who want to understand what we're doing. I was able to do most of this by myself. I'm live on Facebook, live on Twitter, and if I upgrade my StreamYard account, I can be live on YouTube, live on LinkedIn, all of that. So Neil Park's going to join us in a minute. So let's go to a couple of questions. Laura says that Devin Nunes made his recommendation yesterday, which feels like 100 years ago already. And I think we talked about that. Deepak says, my yoga teacher says gargling with salt, warm water several times a day is good prevention. Is that true?
Yeah. So by the way, I'm glad he brought that up. Not necessarily for prevention, but for treatment, for symptomatic management. So people are, I think, getting this message. Oh, if you have a fever, cough, shortness of breath, the vast majority, by the way, of people who have those symptoms will not have coronavirus, but they'll have something else that's causing those symptoms. Most often, it's really the common cold, which comes from the same coronavirus family. Well, how do you manage that, right? The vast majority of people with a fever or a cough, or, they don't have to go to the hospital. So what are we going to do instead? You can take acetaminophen or Tylenol, ibuprofen or Advil for fever, aches, pains, headaches, and gargling with warm salt water is actually an evidence-based measure if you have a cough or sore throat. But the key here is, when you gargle, and by the way, not hot or scalding, just warm water with salt dissolved in it, and gargle to the point where you have to gag it out. That's when you know the water is going deep enough to kill the germs. And but not if you have no symptoms. Only if you develop a cough or sore throat.
Thank you. And Doug says he never knew there was an upside to OCD. So I guess he's talking about his own OCD. Steve makes a good point. He says, I don't think. He thinks social distancing can be confusing and misleading. I feel that physical distancing would be more descriptive, meaning no reason that we can't be socially close via Twitter and Facebook and phone calls and WhatsApp, but physically we need to be apart.
Yeah, actually, Steve, that's a great point. I think that's a really good distinction. And in fact, this is something that Sree has been talking about, and other folks have been saying, Sanjay Gupta has been saying this on CNN, social distancing does not mean social isolation. But instead, yeah, he's absolutely right. Physical distancing is really what the public health professionals are referring to.
Great. Thanks. We're going to wind up here. Jenny says ginger, turmeric, cider vinegar lemon shot, great to boost the immune system. And Monica says, thank you for the great gargling advice. I didn't know we were going to go there, but we did. Everything's possible on a daily COVID-19 phone call or this kind of chat. So please write to me. Tell me about your feedback, what you thought of this session. Reminder that tonight at 8:30, I'm talking to one of the great experts from Hong Kong University about how to handle the crisis and what's happening. It's a global conversation, kind of like a global town hall. We would love your presence and participation, everybody. And just everyone who is, let me just show you, this is the program that we're talking about with Dr. Gabriel Young, and he's chair of the Public Health Medicine and Dean of HKU Med. And just the tweet with the hashtag #AskHKUMed, and we will definitely try to get your questions in there. Of course, it's a global conversation. So back to our wonderful speaker. Just want to say thank you, Doc, for being with us. Any final words before we bring Neil back on and we start talking about this technology, how we used it, why we used it, and we'll free you to go back and eat some food.
Just a really quick key point on our immune systems. This is a really key time to just boost it as much as possible in order to prevent any type of infection. How do you do that? Get as much sleep as you can, drink plenty of water, fluids, not just these little baby bottles that I have, but try to get 6 to 8 glasses of water a day, and eat healthy, nutritious meals, plant-based as much as possible, protein. My point is, take care of yourself by eating healthy, drinking plenty of fluids, getting plenty of rest. That's another key way to fight off the infection, by boosting your immune system. And if you haven't had your flu vaccine, please do get it. It's still flu season. Thank you, Sree, for the opportunity.
I'm drinking water. Thanks to you for your reminder. Willie says, I've heard that ibuprofen is very dangerous if you have the coronavirus. Is this true?
Yeah, I know. I've been seeing that. There's no data to suggest that. I'm not really sure what the origins of that. I've seen that several times.
Including the French health minister said something around one of these classes of medicine.
Yeah, but then I think there was a publication in a journal that said that debunked that. So yeah, the people who should be avoiding ibuprofen are people who have GI or gastrointestinal irritation or who have kidney problems. Avoid ibuprofen, but stick to the coronavirus.
Okay, Doc, we'll let you go. Thank you so much. We'll do namaste. Everybody watching, do namaste together. It'll be really good for you, and we'll much easier. But I just want to say, you say go and get a flu shot. You mean at this moment go into a pharmacy and get touched by somebody? All of that, or you mean in a regular cycle we should do it? Yeah.
Thanks for clarifying that. No, not at this point. Maybe 2-3 weeks ago, getting that flu vaccine would have been wise, but for now, just hunker down. Don't worry about it if you didn't get it, but please, this is why we always recommend getting these vaccines. It's to prevent getting the complications of the flu, like severe pneumonia, acute respiratory failure, which is going to require or prolong hospitalization. And right now, we need those hospital beds and ICU beds and the staffing free and available for people who are going to get sick and need it. So that's what I meant to say.
Thank you. Neil, why don't you come back on and you can say hi to the doctor as well? Oh, I have to bring you on. He's pointing. I have to add her to the stream. I forgot. I'm in charge for a change. I'm the EP and the host. And Neil, this is Neil Parekh, who hosts the Sunday New York Times Read Along every Sunday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern to 10 a.m. Wherever I am in the world, either I'll host or he'll host. This weekend, we have a super guest at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. Stephen Greenhouse, the great labor reporter of the New York Times, will be with us to talk about the New York Times and also talk about the labor aspects of this disaster, this crisis. Thank you, as always, Neil, for putting that together. Paula Kiger, Julia Weeks, Steve Taylor. And if you want to say goodbye to the doctor, and we can let her go. And
Lipi, thank you.
How did it feel, Lipi, on this side? Was there any difference for the technology, this versus some other ways you have done this?
I thought this was really, really fluid. I had a couple of minor internet things, but that was from my end. I can see you clearly. I get to see these questions at the bottom. I feel it's really user friendly. So good job to all you guys.
Thank you and goodbye. Namaste.
Bye, guys.
Okay. All right. So we've thanks, Neil. What did you think now that you're on the outside looking in, sort of?
Sure, it was great. So I will share that at the very end when you said for me to come on, I could have added myself to the screen, but I wanted to make sure that you took care of it.
I appreciate that. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a screen share here so people can see what this looks like right now. I think that'd be interesting.
Well, if you do that, be careful. You get the infinity effect.
Yeah, there we go.
So if people can get a sense, except for the screen in the middle, we see the comments on the side. We see the people waiting to come in at the bottom. So I was grayed out at the bottom for the show, but I was still there. I was visible. But yeah, this is what the StreamYard Studio looks like.
And it's I mean, it's not easy, I want to say, but you can learn this. And this is, one of these things that Neil is going to be using for Social Media Weekend this Saturday, all day.
Yeah.
So please join us. If you haven't got a ticket yet, please go to smweekend.com. The address is at the bottom or pinned to the top of my Twitter feed. And we'd love to have you join us or just write to me, Sree@Sree.net. I'm doing these calls every day. But every Sunday, we do Social Media Weekend. We do the New York Times read-along, so many things. And then Social Media Weekend is this Saturday only. Let's talk a little bit about why you use this. With several people who had questions around StreamYard versus WebEx and Zoom, and all of these things. I was very impressed, even though you've been doing this for 2 months plus for the read-along. I've never run this myself. And this also tells you the importance of everybody learning, practicing, and getting used to technology. One other thought I just want to share before I go to Neil is at this moment when we're all hunkering down, this is a great moment to try something fun, something you're passionate about. It could be anything from the obvious, like a novel, to some kind of blog or webcast that you wanted to do. This is a great time to practice. You're at home, no matter what kind of work you do, this time is giving you some free time. Less commuting, sometimes you're forced to be at home, all of those reasons. So even if you have an hour a day, work on something. Could be something around the house, but it could also be something around your tech skills, your brand, and this is a good way to learn. Neil and I have been practicing for 5 years on the read-along, and only now has it all come together in this way that we can host Social Media Weekend on StreamYard, and all of that's come together. And so part of it is really to practice and just keep doing it. People will understand at this time, given what's going on in the world, that you want to try something. Your passion project can get some attention now. I've always said to my students for 20 plus years, I've said that if you're not willing to do something for no pay, you will not do a good job for all the pay in the world when it comes to passion projects. Meaning, the reason we started doing the read-along was because we love newspapers and we love this technology, want to experiment, want to try different things. And here we are, live on LinkedIn, live on Facebook, live on Twitter. We're able to do that every Sunday. YouTube, we're doing all of these things. And we have staff from the New York Times reading with us. Neil was at the home of the travel editor of the New York Times reading the 52 Places issue. We were together at the printing press of the New York Times, seeing it live on Facebook. Neil and I drove to the home of the print editor of the New York Times, Tom Jolly. Like, none of this would be possible if we were saying we'll only do it for this much money. We were lucky enough that we have supportive spouses who let us do these things. We have, that kind of, we don't have other hobbies, so we're doing fun things like this. But really spend this opportunity, these 2 weeks to 2 months that we might have, to hone your skills. And over to Neil.
So thank you, Sree. And there were several people who were asking about the tool that we're using. So we had Diane's comment earlier, and we had, I'm trying to see, I'm driving a little bit now, Sree, with your permission, taking over a little bit, can't help myself. I'm looking forward. I think it was Monica also was asking about StreamYard. And I want to, I'll leave on the screen the last comment we had, which is from Rabush from Twitter, asking what is the name of this tool. So, and I'll just pull Sree off until he comes back. I hate seeing an empty chair. We're using an app called StreamYard to put this together, to be able to produce the show and to have be able to live stream, to manage comments, to have banners, etc. You know, the one of the reasons that we use it, as we've mentioned, is that we can multi-stream to different platforms. It is also really easy to bring on guests. We brought in Lipi Roy remotely, and it wasn't a problem. And I can, you know, have Sree back on the screen. Hi, Sree, you're back back live. And one of the things Sree is doing is also focusing on sharing it via his accounts on social media, on Twitter, on Facebook, etc. But the biggest advantage, I think, is the aesthetic. You can see, for example, Sree put Lipi's Twitter cover photo and bio in the top right corner. You can use that to show different logos based on the show. You can show questions on the bottom. One of the things that you know, we were doing, and Sree did this again for the first time. So again, kudos to Sree for practicing what he preaches, learning new tools. With the banners that he put on the screen. So he put on the 8:30 p.m. Banner, and then also the social media weekend as a ticker. Some of these, I'm pretty sure the New York City one, he might have typed in during the show. So you can actually prep them ahead of time, which is what I try and do before we go live Sunday mornings. But then if you think of something after the broadcast has already started, you can just, you know, while you're live, type in a banner and add it to the show. And I can do that right now. To send a message.
Yeah, let's see. Let's show them that. Yeah.
Right. So I type something in, and I always say it's an honor and a privilege to be the guest host of Shree's Sunday New York Times read along, and I can convey that message in real time. I can add a ticker if there's something. I can immediately edit it, click a box, and save it, and then make that the ticker instead, and have that scroll across the bottom. So there are a lot of different things you can do. You can share screen, show video, and have different layouts. If we were, you know, we can have 6 people on screen at the same time. You can have 10 people waiting, depending if you're doing like a big group conversation. So we have some other questions coming in. Let's see. Laura is saying she loves the idea of new tools, and it has a list of tools for people to check out. Stefan is saying, how many people can you bring on StreamYard? That's what I was just speaking to. You can have, in terms of the presentation, you can have 6 people on screen and up to 10 people waiting in the background. So if you want to move people in and out of the screen, they can be in the background. It does. If you're trying to share your screen, that counts as one of the screens. So you want to keep that in mind as well.
I just want to say I invited, Stefan, if you're still watching, I just invited you via WhatsApp. I sent you a link so that you can see how this works, so we can show people in real time how to join. So we've Stefan that. So if you have a second, Stefan, just jump in. All you need is a browser. You don't need any downloads. Nothing, which is a really powerful thing because you're trying to get some very senior people. Stefan's very tech savvy, but there are other folks who are not tech savvy who won't know what to do. So we've sent that, if he's still watching, maybe he can join us. If anybody else would like to try, let's see if we have a minute. Mark says I would like to try it, but not tonight. The house is a mess. And that's one of the things, right? Look at you have to really worry about the background. It was very funny yesterday. Bob Anthony on the COVID call said, "Hey, there's a tool on in Skype which blurs out the background," and I think a lot of people would love that if they could do that.
So one of the things, Sree, is when you're looking at the comments, you have to remember that as you are reading Mark's comment, no one, people couldn't see it unless they were on Facebook. So you want to make sure you highlight on the screen.
Correct.
So that our friends on Twitter, because we have people watching on Periscope and commenting, this is the only way they can see the Facebook comments. And if we highlight the Twitter comments, that's the only way our Facebook friends can see it as well.
Right.
Rose,
so here's what happened. So let me do this. Stefan has joined. I don't know if he's turned on his camera yet, but here he is. He should be able to at least speak if his microphone is on. Stefan.
Yeah. Can you?
Yeah, there you are.
Yeah.
You're on the air.
See you
right now.
Okay. No, the question I was asking was not necessarily only on the presenters, but on the number of attendees.
Ah, right. Good question. So go ahead.
So you're streaming it. What you do is you're using StreamYard as a vehicle to share your live stream on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, whatever platforms. So any number of people can watch it on those platforms. There's no limit. We were talking about the limit of the presenters that you have.
Okay, so it's really a matter of which plural social channels that you're using.
Yes, the free account only lets you stream to one platform.
Yeah.
The middle account lets you stream to 2, and then the more expensive account lets you stream to up to 5. And by expensive, I think that the most expensive is $35 a month, and the middle account is $15 a month. So not really unreasonable if
very reasonable.
Other tools.
Yeah.
The other thing that you can do, there are 2 other features I want to mention. And I'm going to go. We have Susan saying that she loves this platform. That you might be able to use it for digital salons.
Susan, call me. We haven't talked in a long time. Susan's the reason I got to know our good friend Craig Newmark. A dozen years ago, maybe more, 15 years ago, and he was then a guest at Social Media Weekend at CUNY Journalism School, and then 3 years later, that became the Newmark School of Journalism. So what a small, wonderful world. So thanks, Susan, for starting that chain of great conversations.
And my information is on the screen. More than happy to reach out to folks and help explain how StreamYard works. What I wanted to do, one of the features I wanted to share, Rose had mentioned that she used StreamYard to interview Deepa Iyer. She was a guest on the New York Times Read Along, and Rose did an interview with her and featured her as one of the women to follow. A great Twitter thread and Twitter campaign if you check out that hashtag. So one of the things you can do with StreamYard is that you don't have to go live. You can actually just skip going live and either use it as a way to talk to someone. I use it to talk to our guests every week to explain how the platform works and to talk about our show. Or you can record that conversation just to download the recording and use it as a video, which I think is really, really helpful at times.
I agree. I also just want to show them very quickly this overlay feature, which allows you to do what I'm doing here, which is show a big card on the screen. This can also be the title card for waiting as we go online. And this is my show this evening with Gabriel Leung. Please do join us. He's one of the world's top experts on the current crisis, and you will learn a lot. And we've had hundreds of questions already come in, but this is again the global community coming together and trying to learn from each other. It's 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, which is 8:30 a.m. very conveniently in Hong Kong. So it's exactly opposite, and that's the timing there. Mark asks, can bands use this while doing a concert? I guess if it's your own music, you own the rights to it. Maybe you'll be allowed to use it, but I'm not sure what the answer is.
I will make a comment. Yes, bands can use it to do a concert. Certainly, if you're doing your own music, you'd want to set up a camera and live stream it. But I will caution you in terms of you want to be careful with using proprietary music. If you're streaming to Facebook and YouTube, their algorithms are very strong. They will pull down your video. When we had Stephen Kaplan as a guest, we did the New York Times read along with him at the Museum of the City of New York. He's a great visual consultant, a visual and design consultant. He has pictures in the opening credits of NBC's Special Victims Unit. And I was hoping we could show that video during the read-along to highlight the pictures. We did a practice run during the week, and the minute we finished the Facebook Live, Facebook pulled the video down and said, you don't have authority to use this content. So just be careful with that.
And I would also say that Facebook may not know even if it's your own band and it's your own music, they may not know that it's your official account that's playing it, and there could be some rights issues around that. So
yeah, exactly.
You got to be very careful. Laura asks, what app did you use to create the title card, or can that happen natively within StreamYard? So let's break down some of the wording. So this is called a overlay brand banner. So this is the big size document, and that's what you're seeing here. Here's another one. I just used something off of Twitter. As you can see, this was our guest yesterday. Here is Dr. Lipi Roy today. So this is called a brand item. The banners are these smaller things that you can put on like this. There's a ticker version, there's this version, and all of that. So those are different ways in which you're communicating. We still have Stefan on board. I should say that I also invited Tim Sohn, who's a wonderful proponent of StreamYard and a social media expert
regularly.
Yeah, so we've learned a lot from him. I don't know if he's still watching, but we try to get him on. If we have a couple more minutes here, any questions? This is a good chance for you to ask. But reminder, please join us for Social Media Weekend, which is coming up. Let's see, Neil, can you? We can't go live to a web page, right? Or can we?
We can
share. So let me just do that. Let me screen share. I'm just going to go to
go ahead.
smwknd.com. And then I'm going to come back into StreamYard. It's just another tab. And I'm hitting screen share. And then I'm choosing the tab. And I'm hitting share. And it's a mess. Is it better now?
Every week.
Is this better?
This is good.
Okay. So now you can see Social Media Weekend. It says it goes online. It's just smwknd.com. It's all day Saturday, plus lifetime of learning after that. So please tell your friends anywhere in the world. It'll all be live and recorded using StreamYard, and everybody can benefit and participate from that. So please do join us. I'm just going to pull off the stop screen sharing. And
one other thing I want to mention as a feature is that when you're done, you can download the video within 7 days, and StreamYard lets you export it both as a video file and as an audio file. So if you want to be able to set it up as a podcast, you can do that very easily. So that's what we do with the New York Times Read Along. We live stream to Facebook and LinkedIn, and then upload the video to YouTube as a long-term archive.
Yeah, another feature I just learned is that you can schedule a Facebook post, and then it's just live on Facebook at the right time.
Yep.
Of course, I don't think it's as valuable as what we did, because what we did forces a new post, and then it sends an alert to everybody's on the network that you have that. So nothing's perfect, but I'm so impressed by this tool. And by the way, we should be very clear, Neil, that as with any tools that we use or anything we promote, we promote it because it's a sound journalistic tool. If we had any business interest with them, we would say so, and that might change, not with StreamYard, but just our read along is now going to have sponsors. After 5 years of doing it for free and for the love of it, people have realized that having thousands of people come together every week, this good and this smart a community, is worth supporting in a small way. So we're about to start seeing that, but of course we will divulge any and disclose any sponsorships. We'll be very proud to do that, but StreamYard we love because it is that good.
So with that, Sree, unless there isn't anything else, we should probably call it to a close.
Yep.
We've been going for almost an hour 20.
What's the maximum? What's the maximum?
The maximum for what? For streaming?
Yeah.
It depends on the platform. My understanding, I think, and Tim might know, I think Facebook is it depends if It's either 4 hours or 6 hours. I can't remember, but it is. You do get a long time. On Saturday, we're actually going to be doing separate videos.
So Nick Kristoff and Cheryl Wudun will get their own video.
Exactly.
Andrew Lee and Stefan will get their own video.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the way we're gonna set it up, I'll just explain to people. We're gonna be in a Facebook group, and we're gonna start the live stream. And when we finish the first session, we'll stop it. So you have a distinct video, and then we'll restart. But that notification will go to everyone in that group. So you'll be able to watch just that video, if you want to. It'll be, I mean, you can think of it in terms of the experience for viewers. In one way, it'd be better if you just have one long video and they just watch it the whole day. That's slightly better for people in the moment, but not as good for people long term and being able to experience the content afterward. So that's what you have to look forward to. But with that, we should probably call it to a close.
Wait, Tim, hold on. Tim's there. Let me just bring him.
So let's say hi to Tim. Hey, Tim.
Where are you?
Hey, guys. How are you doing?
Tim's in his car.
I'm in the car. We just got back from the playground, letting out some energy.
Okay, good. Look at that lighting. What is that lighting you got going on? You look glamorous.
It's called the sun.
Oh, the sun. That's called making your own luck. You parked that car beautifully because you know what you're doing.
I planned it. I have a box in the driveway. No, I'm just kidding.
Thank you for this. And I think there's enough hunger that more people will be interested in this. And we should do more. We'll, of course, see you on Social Media Weekend. And then we're doing office hours every Wednesday as part of Social Media Weekend's extended learning. And Tim, if you're a game, we'd love to have you on and share some of your skills. He's a great business-oriented social media consultant, and he works specifically with small and medium-sized businesses. And we wish you the very best. How are you feeling, Tim, and your clients at this moment? I know Pennsylvania is kind of shutting down.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. We just found out today that all non-essential businesses are ordered to shut down for 2 weeks. I was in Dunkin' Donuts this morning, and while I was sitting there, they were putting seats up on the tables. I said, "Are you guys closing?" And they said they were just closing for sitting. You could come in and get food and take it, but you had to couldn't stay anymore. So I guess I'm going to have to work from home now.
Yeah, well, good luck, and good luck to all of us. Stay safe, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow with another edition of the daily COVID-19 calls. Thanks very much, everybody. Great. Thanks, Neil. Thanks,
guys.
Bye.
I get to end the broadcast. Yay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Bye.
Bye.